So today we are going to do how to use graphical screens in Python. So how to create graphics and how to work on it, that's what we're going to do today. I'll show an example which kind of screen you will get by the end of the class. So today we are going to do GUI in Python that is done with the library called Tkinter. Right, there are other ways as well, but this is one of the easiest and most useful method using which we can add controls like text fields, buttons, labels, drop down list and all into a Python interface. So till now when we are coding in Python, we were using character user interface, like a message comes on the output window, like the one being shown here in the output window. So you get a message here and you enter the number. So you get a message here and you enter the number and you get the sum, right? I don't want it to be done like this. I want that it should work this way. Like I should select calculator from here, or I should just go to run and I select the program calculator. So let me run it from here. It's not coming in the options. Okay. Excuse me. So you can see the screen. So this is a graphical user interface. I'm supposed to enter the numbers. If I click on add, I get sum is 125. If I get subtraction, so I get the result like this. So similarly, if you click on multiply and divide, you get the result of multiplication and division, right? And if you click on exit, we're going to come out of this. So this interface is called graphical user interface because for entering another numbers, like you faced that difficulty earlier where you were asking like, do we have to enter the numbers again and again for running the program? So that problem was there in character user interface, but you don't have it in GUI. You can anytime change the value in the text boxes and click on the button again to get the result. You don't have to run the whole program again from the very beginning. But how to create this GUI? Now, as you know that there are so many libraries in Python, so whenever we have to do something extra, we can use the library responsible for that. Like here we have this library called Tkinter. This is used to provide graphical user interface, right? Now when you have to install this, one option is you can, like if you're using Anaconda or you're using your Python IDLE, you can just install it with the help of pip install. So you can write pip install Tkinter and it will install that, and you can directly write import Tkinter. But since in PyCharms we sometimes face a problem, like in my version of PyCharm I was facing a problem that I can't install Tkinter directly. So you know how to install it. The ones who don't know, you have to go to PyCharm, go to preferences, and over here in project interpreter you have the list of libraries which you have installed. So if I want to install Tkinter, I have to click on plus sign over here and I have to go here and choose Tkinter. But as you can see, I'm getting the helping modules, but I'm not getting Tkinter itself. So I could not install it in PyCharm with the help of that, but there is a so in PyCharm, if you're working in PyCharm, then you can install this future library. So once you install this future library, I can import Tkinter from future. So you have to write from future.moves import Tkinter, and I give it a short name as TK. So that TK. So that in my whole code, I don't have to write Tkinter again and again. So I can just write TK and use it. Fine. So while using PyCharm, you are going to install this module, that is future, and from there you can use Tkinter. Otherwise, you can directly use Tkinter if you are using Anaconda or you are using Python IDLE. Right. So now, so if you are already aware of GUI in other languages, the major controls in GUI are labels, text fields, buttons. We have many more. We have checkboxes, radio buttons, list box, drop down list. A lot of them are there. So we'll be going to do all of them one by one. But today we'll be covering only three basics, that is label, text field and button. Okay, so let's go to the code from where the execution starts. So execution is going to start from here. This is the first line to be executed. What I have to do is I have to create an object of the TK class. So capital T, K, this class is already defined, which is responsible for making a simple frame. I'll show you how, what happens if we write this line. So I'm just going to make another file here. So if I go here, so I could name it like say area of a rectangle you want to calculate here. So I give it a name area. So you're going to write from future dot moves import Kinter as whatever name you want to give. Now if you just write here top is equal to TK is the name which I have given, otherwise, and then I create an object of a class called TK. So I just make this object. After making this object, you can give it a title, like we've given the title here as calculator, and then you have to show it. So to show it on the screen, you have to call this line main loop. Okay, so this is the line which we have to write so that it should appear on the screen. So I have to write this line once I'm done with the designing part, and before that you want to set the title. So you can write here top dot title, and what I'm supposed to find here, area of a rectangle, or you want to find, yeah, let's say area of a rectangle, right? So this I have given in the title. Now if you want to run this one and see how does it appear, so I'm going to run this, and this one is my area. You can see this. So I've just got a blank screen, nothing is there, no control is there, but I have got a frame, I have got a window with the maximize, minimize and resize button, and the title is coming as area of rectangle. So this much you can create by just writing these three lines. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to add labels, text fields and all in it. So for that we have different statements, like this statement tk.label is used to create a label, right? So tk.label. Now when you create a GUI object, you can take it into a reference variable or you can just create it. Now label is something which is used to show something to the user. User can't type anything in it, user can't click on it, so user can only show something. So we just want to show something to the user, so for that we are taking label and we are not storing the result in a reference variable. So I'll just write tk.label, L capital, it is case sensitive. You have to give the name of the window in which this control has to be added. So this has to be added in the window named top. This top could be anything, you can give whatever name you want. So it's just a variable name. You can give any name for this, and then you write text is equal to first number. That means the text appearing in the label would be first number. And then you have to tell the positioning. If I don't tell the positioning, it follows the flow layout, means it will keep adding them one after the other. But there are many layouts. Out of all, I prefer using grid layout. So in grid layout, we can tell like where, in which row you want to put it. So I'm writing dot grid row is equal to 0. That means I'm going to use grid layout, and this control should be put in row 0, right? So you can just go through this. Yeah. Similarly, we'll make over there for length and breadth of a rectangle. So I'm just going to copy these two from here, take them to area and put it like this. So I'm creating two labels. So this first number should be changed to like length, and this I changed to breadth. So now if I execute this, we are going to get a screen where we will be having two labels, one with the text length, one with the text breadth. One would be in row 0, another one would be in row 1. So if we execute this code again, so what I get is a screen which is too small because now it is coming as per the size we have, and we're just getting the labels, nothing else, right? Now labels we have got. The next thing is to get the text field in which the user is going to type something. So to create the text fields, we have an option called entry. So the name of the class you're going to use for that is entry. So I want to take it as a reference because later on I need to change the value of the text field, or I want to get the value from the text field. So if you have to use the control later, you should take it in a reference variable. So I'm writing e1 is equal to tk.entry, in which screen it has to be added? Top. Same way I've taken e2. And then I have to tell where they have to be placed. So e1 has to be placed in the grid. Same, it should come after first number. So we have given row 0, column 1. So this is row 1, column 1. So this would be adding it in front of these two labels. In the similar way, I want to add it in front of my length and breadth. So I want to add them over there in front of the length and breadth control. So I'm going to put this code over here. So I've created two text fields and I've placed them. Row 0 means this one, E1 will be placed after your first label and E2 will be placed after your second label. So if you want to check out, you can run it and see. I've got this length, I can put the length here, I can put the breadth here, but there are no buttons. So we can't work by the time we don't have buttons. Now we want to have buttons as well. So we go here and over here, label entry. Same way we have the button class to create the buttons. So now see, the most important thing is a button because click on a button, right? So we are creating a button by tk.button. You tell in which window it should appear. You should say what should be written on the text. So text is add, that means the button would be labeled as add. Then you have to give the width of the button. This is optional. It will take a size of its own according to the content, but you can also mention that how much wide it should be. And you can give the width for label and text fields also. So width is common, it can be given for all the controls. The important thing over here is this command. Command is equal to add. Now here we write command is equal to name of that function which you want should be executed when the button is clicked. So that is basically helping you to deal with the click of the button, right? So I want that when this button is clicked, which is having add function should be called. Similarly, when we call subtract function should be called. When we do this, multiply should be called, and divide and then clear. And then this line command is equal to top.destroy. That means quit, the exit button. So when exit button is clicked, what should happen? It should stop the window. So for that we write the window name dot destroy, and the grid is for telling the positions. So I've told the positions and then we just show the thing, right? So as you have seen how this one works, now we have to put the similar kind of stuff in our area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this up, and in this area I'm going to define button 1 and button 2. So this is your button 1, so it's top, and I want the name of the function to be calc, whatever, but this calc function we haven't defined, so we have to define it, because if we don't define, how would it work? And then you want this to be in row 2, that is perfectly fine. So I'm going to have another one now. So this is going to have column 1 in row 2, and the name should be B2, and the text should be exit. And over here you should write name of the window, that is top.destroy. So one thing you have to keep in notice is normally after function calls we put round brackets, but when you write it in command you don't have to give round brackets at the end, right? So now calc is not defined, that's why it's showing a red line, so I must define calc. So here comes the second phase of your coding. We are going to tell that what should exactly happen when the button is clicked. Calc. Now what I have to do in this, I have to read whatever is there in the length text box. I have to read whatever. So I have to read the values of the text, calculate, and then I have to set the value back into some place where the result should appear. And yes, we haven't made that place where the result should appear. So we have to set something where the result should come as well. For example, when you run calculator, so when we run calculator from here, you see that if I enter the numbers, it will run. It takes a bit of time to start the GUI and create it. I guess I clicked on run. Yeah, you're getting it. So if I enter the second number and I click on add, I get the result here. So same way, to show the area, you need some result, like, because we're not going to have the output window. If you print with the help of print statement, it will be printed here on this black and white screen, right? So we need this thing as well. So we need this thing, and which is this label, that is M1. So I need a label for the result, so I'm going to put that at the end before the main loop. And yeah, so we are initially showing result in that, later we will change it. So it's just a label, and you can see this label I've taken in a reference variable, whereas the earlier one I didn't take in a reference variable because they are not to be used in coding. But this one is going to be used because we need to change the text later. So we need to change the text later, that's why we have taken it like that. Now you need to do the coding of this. So what I need is, I need a number n1. So n1 is equal to, you have the text field as e1. So we have a function called e1.get. So when you call e1.get, it is going to get whatever is written in the text field. So whatever is written in that text field will come here. Again, as I told you, in input the data is taken as a string. So get also reads in the form of a string. So you are going to get it in the that it should be taken as a number. So you have to use either float or int to convert it to a number. Since it's length and breadth, so it could be in points. So I'm taking float over here. Then we have n2 is equal to float e2 dot get. So I get the values from both of them, and then I need to calculate the area, which should be n2. So we got the product, which is the area of the rectangle, and this is what you need to show in M1. So in M1, what you have to show is area is concatenated by str. So this area is a float, so I can't concatenate a float with a string. So as we have int or float which converts a string to integer or float, same way you can convert a numeric value to a string with the help of str. So as you can see in calculator also, we have all these functions defined here. I have add, which was taking the two numbers, adding them and showing the result in M1. Same way subtract, multiply and divide. So similar way we have defined our calc over here. So once we have defined this, we can run this so that it should show the result as expected. So I get the length, which is 9. If I get breadth, that is 4. And I click on area, so I get area is 36. If I want to run again for a different value, I don't have to re-execute the program. I just change one of the values. If I want to change just one value, and I click on it and I get the updated area. So that is how you design a graphical user interface. This is a very basic one. Slowly we'll move on to advanced designs, but this is like the very basic. How do you make a very simple GUI design? How do you make your buttons work and show your result? Is that clear? You can just go through it, and what you have to do is you should add one more button to this, and that should be named as perimeter. So if I click on perimeter, it should show me the perimeter here. Okay, so what you have to do is just add one more button in the same window that should be named as perimeter, and it should calculate perimeter of the rectangle. But before that, you can go through this code thoroughly and just ask me if any of the things is not clear, and try to figure out that how would you add perimeter button in this.
So let's first add the perimeter.
getting some error where,
Public actor is not defined.
yeah, so you need to define that. Back. Just need to change the formula. It's okay because multiplication will be done first, and after that only it's going to add. So even if you don't put it, it will work that way. So perimeter is good. You have added it in row 3, so you could have done like perimeter in row 2 and result in row 3, so that the button comes before. Button should be in row 2, and that text should be in row 4, label. The last label, it should be in row 4. Yeah, make it in row 4 so that the perimeter should come before that result. That's fine. So you have to fill in the length and breadth. Right? So how did you feel after doing the same thing in GUI?
Very, very, very friendly to the user.
Yeah, so if you want to make user-friendly programs, it is very important that we convert the thing into a graphical user interface, because otherwise writing in that black and white screen is quite boring for us as well as for the user. So we'll be working on a lot of things to make the GUI look better and more user friendly, and we'll be doing so many other controls like how to put checkboxes, radio buttons, and so many others, but we'll go gradually with that, so we'll go slowly on that. But I hope this much is clear to you.
Yes.
So we would do it either in the evening today or tomorrow with rest of the controls, right?
Okay.
So that is it for this video. I hope you all are also clear with how to use label, text field, and buttons, right? So you also try something like this. We have done for calculator, we have done for area and perimeter of a rectangle. You can try out to take marks of a student in 5 subjects, and when the result button is clicked, you should show the total and percentage marks. If possible, you can also show the grade. So the ones which we have already done, we have done that program to show the grade as per the marks. Do it in the graphical user interface and let me know in the comments below creating one. So that's it for this one. We'll see you again with more on Python very soon. Thank you.